Okay, we are going to go over how to set up a MUD client or how to actually log into a MUD. And the first thing we're going to do is go to adventmud.org, which is the AdventMud website, obviously. And I'm going to show you how to log on to Advent, but you can use a lot of this to actually log on to a different MUD if you choose to do so. Now we're going to go to the Connect page. And most MUDs provide some sort of Connect page, or at the very least a link to Telnet to help you log into the game or give you the information you need to log into a game. Now I have three ways listed here to connect to Advent. That is MUD client, Java Telnet applet, and regular Telnet. I'm going to start from the bottom up because Telnet is the least desirable way to log into a MUD. And really, all you have to do for Telnet is to click on this link, and it'll bring up the Telnet window with the introductory screen for logging into Advent. Telnet's not really used very often because it is not very user-friendly. It doesn't give any options. It doesn't let you resize your window usually, and it's just not very pretty. Even some Telnet applications don't even have color on them, so it's not a very popular method. Another way to connect through Telnet is to go to Start and go to Run. If you type in this information here, telnet : //advent.wifpaw.net:8310, this is your typical Telnet information, and the information here is what you would change to log on to a different MUD. You just need their server address and their port number, separated by this colon, in order to connect to pretty much any MUD. Now, the second way is through Java Telnet applet, and what this will do is when you click on this link, it will open up this little window, and it takes a little bit to load simply because it's loading Java in your browser. And this is something that's actually Advent specific that we provide. Not a lot of MUDs provide a Java Telnet applet. Some do, some of them are different. So this is the one that Advent provides. We provide two options. The first one is actually my favorite out of the two, simply because I like the way it looks. I like that you have the separate section here for typing, and it's just a lot more user-friendly in my opinion. The only problem with this client is you do have to keep this small pop-up window open in order to use it. If you close the window, the Java Telnet applet will close. The second one is just not as nice looking, and you actually have to type in the screen rather than in a separate window or a separate section. But this one will remain open if you close this little window, or at least it used to. Maybe it doesn't anymore. Regardless, I would keep the window open anyway. And your third option is through a MUD client. I don't provide a specific list here yet. We will eventually, of different clients that we suggest. Here is the information you would enter into a client: the host and the port. And that's pretty much all you need in order to connect to a client. The client I'm going to show everybody how to use is the SimpleMu client, which if you go to simpleMu.onlineroleplay.com, it'll take you to the SimpleMu website, and you go to download, and you download the file. Now I have already started the installation. As you can see, it's on my desktop here, and it is in process. I'm going to go ahead and install. Spell check support, very important. We get a lot of people that have horrible spelling when playing the MUD. So I'm going to launch SimpleMu. This is the first client I ever used. I don't know if it's any different from when I used it. As you can see, it's not too different from Telnet. It's got the black screen and everything. First thing we want to do is open up New Connection Wizard. This is where you enter in the host address. Remember, it was advent.wifpaw.net. You click Next, port number 8310, Next again, and we're going to click MUD because this is a MUD. It's not a mush, it's not a talker. I don't know what the difference between these three are. I don't really care because I have no interest in playing a mush or a talker. We just play MUD. And we're going to give it a name. We're going to call it Advent of the Mists, just so you have an idea of what MUD you're connecting to. Now it's going to attempt its connection. This window down here does resize. This is where you enter in your text below here. So if I was to enter in a character, I can enter in multiple lines if I wanted. and it'll wrap them in this window, which is nice. ZMUD does not do that. ZMUD actually creates a small window like this, and you can only type horizontally. Now, if you wanted to create another alt at the same time, once you have a character in, if you want to play multiple MUDs at the same time, you could do that. And it will actually show in the screen down here when something happens in your previous screen. You switch back and forth by this option up top here, and you can use these functions up here to reconnect, disconnect, to close. There's all kinds of options that come with MUD clients. You don't necessarily need to use all of them. I actually don't use hardly any of them except for hotkeys. You can log, which is a very nice feature when you want to keep track of what's going on in the game. Gosh, I haven't used this one in forever. You can create aliases, which basically, every time I type sneeze, I want it to say emote sneezes loudly. Every time I type that word sneeze, or whatever, I don't know the exact command for this, it would do emote sneezes loudly. It's very useful for shortening the commands that you have to type. I'm actually impressed that they have spell checker in SimpleMU. I might have to recommend this more often. You can change the color preferences for the game. I don't know if there's a quick launch bar on here for that or not. You can I don't really know all of these options, to be honest. It's even got some generic MUD commands. Using say is usually the way you talk in the game. Using who is usually the way you see who's online. There's other commands in here that you can map in a MUD client. It's a lot of experimenting you have to do. A lot of MUD clients are different, but they do all provide pretty much the same support that you need for playing a MUD. So this is pretty much all you need to do, and the information, again, that you needed to connect was through the host and the port. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask on our forums. You know, we're trying to be very newbie friendly on Advent, so we do want to try to provide support for all mudders, not just for the ones on Advent of the Mists.